1. The LAWSON family. Something followed him home. North Carolina, 1929. On Christmas Day, snow lay thin and dirty across the hills of Stokes County, not clean enough to feel holy, not thick enough to bury anything. The Lawson cabin stood quiet in a hollow where sound didn't travel well. No neighbors close, no witnesses, just trees pressing in like they were listening. Charlie Lawson was a respected man, hard-working, church-going, quiet. He'd taken his family into town days earlier and bought new clothes for everyone, an unusual expense for a farmer scraping by. People remembered that detail later. They remembered how he watched his children as they tried on coats, how his eyes never softened. They didn't know he was already saying goodbye. That morning, Charlie took his 2 oldest children into the woods with him. No one heard gunshots. In Appalachia, gunfire blends into the landscape. When he returned alone, he told his wife Fanny to send the others out one by one to help with chores. They never came back. One by one, Charlie shot them. At close range. Methodical. Calm. When Fanny finally went looking, she found her children dead in the snow. She didn't have time to scream before Charlie killed her too. Last was the baby, left alive in the house, perhaps forgotten, perhaps spared, perhaps too much to finish. Charlie walked into the woods and shot himself. When neighbors arrived, the scene looked arranged, bodies placed, faces covered, almost respectful. No note, no confession, no explanation. Locals whispered things lawmen wouldn't write down. Charlie had complained of voices. He said something was watching him from the trees. He'd been sick for months, headaches, rages, blank spells. Years later, researchers suggested toxic mold in the cabin could cause hallucinations. Others believed something older, something the mountains don't give names to, had found a way inside him. People still won't camp near that hollow. They say if you go there at night, you can hear footsteps circling the clearing, counting, making sure everyone is still there. 2 Henry Louis WLLAC, The Shepherd of Wolves, North Carolina, 1990s. Appalachia teaches you to trust familiar faces. That's how he got so close. Henry Louis Wallace didn't look like a monster. He was polite, soft-spoken, helpful. He worked jobs that put him around women, security guard, convenience stores, restaurants. He learned routines. He learned loneliness. And then he hunted. Wallace killed 9 young women, most of them people who knew him. Friends, acquaintances, women who opened their doors because they recognized his face and heard his voice say their name. Inside, he became something else. His murders were intimate, personal. He stayed. He watched. Some victims were sexually assaulted, others were beaten or strangled with bare hands. The violence wasn't rushed, it was controlled as if he was listening to something guiding him. He later told investigators he felt like he was walking alongside something when he killed, like he wasn't alone in the room. What terrified police wasn't just the body count, it was how long he went unnoticed. He blended into the rhythm of everyday Appalachian life. Church, work, neighborhoods where people wave from porches and assume evil comes from somewhere else. When Wallace was finally caught, women across the region realized something horrifying. The man who killed their friends had probably stood next to them at some point, smiled at them, held doors open. Some victims' families swore he changed during questioning, his voice dropping, posture shifting, eyes going flat like someone else had taken the wheel. In prison, Wallace reportedly refused to sleep with the lights off. He said something still comes to him in the dark. 3 The Yancey County Axe murders. No one heard them scream. North Carolina, early 1900s. Yancey County sits high and quiet, where homes were spaced far apart and neighbors measured distance by hours, not miles. At night, the mountains swallowed sound whole. That's why the screams didn't travel. The first family was found just after dawn. A father, a mother, children still in bed. All killed with an axe. No robbery, no struggle that spilled outside. Whoever did it knew how to move through a dark house without waking dogs or lanterns. The blows were heavy but precise. Head wounds meant to end things quickly. The axe was taken. Weeks later, it happened again. Another family. Same pattern, same silence. Panic spread in a way modern people don't understand. There were no phones, no radios. Word traveled by horse and foot, growing uglier with every retelling. Families slept with chairs braced under door handles. Men kept rifles across their chests while they slept. Women nailed windows shut. People stopped answering knocks after dark. Some swore they saw a figure moving along tree lines, always just ahead of lantern light. Others claimed the killer was already dead, some kind of walking wrongness, a thing that didn't breathe, only waited. The killings stopped as suddenly as they began. No suspect was ever arrested. No axe was ever found. Even decades later, when houses were torn down or abandoned, locals avoided the land where those families died. Animals wouldn't bed down there. Fires wouldn't burn right. And on still nights, people said they heard wood chopping,